Well, welcome. And this day starts us actually diving in to the marriage relationship more specifically. But I want to tell you two reasons it doesn't matter if you're here and you're not married today. The first reason is that the Bible says in the book of Titus and in other places that the older women should be teaching the younger women in the churches. The older women should be teaching. Now, you can't know what to teach unless you learn it. And older woman doesn't say older married woman. It says the older women. So number one, if you're not married, no big deal. Good thing you're listening, because you need to know what to do and what to say to women who are married. And number two reason it doesn't matter if you're married is that these principles apply to, that's the number one. And number two is these principles apply to any relationship in your life. As we know here who have been coming, it applies to not only your husband, but it applies to your mother. It applies to your sister. It applies to your mother-in-law. It applies to your boss, your friends, your relatives. And so if you're single today, these concepts will just be of incredible value. Our lives are built up as women of relationships. And the reason is because our God is relational, and we're made in His image. The moment He blew wind into the nostril of that little guy in the Garden of Eden, He made it known that He wanted relationship with someone, besides all the angels He created to start with. And then as soon as He took the rib out of that guy and formed this beautiful chickadee named Eve, He was conveying to us and to mankind that He wanted the first man to have a relationship and to have a friend and to have a companion. And then it continued on from there. So God is a relational God. And God is also particularly interested in whether we have a successful marriage or not. Whether it is flourishing and thriving, because it represents Christ and the church. Right. So He wants it, you better believe He wants it to look right. And you know, you may be here and your relationship might be a little bit humdrum. It's not really thriving or blooming. But that's where we want to take you, to a place where you actually can enjoy your relationship. I mean, not only can it become glorifying to God, but it can be thriving, and it can be bright and beautiful and have a future that it holds. And so we're going to give you keys in this season to have a successful marital relationship. Keys are really important. You know they are. You know how important your keys are. But you know, I was thinking about this message, or this season even, thinking, well, there's not a whole lot of keys around like there used to be when I was younger. I mean, this is kind of a digital age now, you know? So I was rethinking the theme. Maybe I should call it digital formulas for a successful marriage, okay? But I thought, no, I'll go with the keys theme because it's a better visual. But keys are really important. You know it when you've lost your car keys. You know it when you've lost your house keys, especially when you get locked out. You know it. And God forbid when your keys if your keys got stolen. Because at that point, you know, your stomach drops, because all of a sudden somebody has got access to the very private of everything you own, including your Social Security cards and your, you know, God forbid your safe if it's open, and, you know, your very identity. Well, ladies, as far as stolen keys, I believe that we have lost or allowed to be stolen keys to a good marriage in this society. You know, in this culture, we're no longer being taught principles on how to run a marriage, you know, on a very practical level. If we're married, or if we want to be married, or if we haven't been married, or if we have children who are married, or grandchildren that are married, we need to know what it means to be married. We do. And to be a wife. Some people just take for granted that it's just going to happen. Most people do. And a lot of people say, you know, there's no manual for this. And there's no manual for raising my kids. Why isn't there a manual for it? Well, yes, there is a manual. There's tons of guidelines in the book of the Bible.